is Insight. Phone lines are open. Dial 384-2191.
We are into this first Friday of the month of April. You know that if you're listening live here on WDLB, you may be watching us on Marshfield Community Television, and that's because on the first Friday of the month, our Marshfield Mayor, Bob McManus, avails himself to your comments and questions. Good morning.
Good morning.
You just came off of, at this time here, I always say that everybody knows how this is going to turn out whenever we talk about things, but we're going to go back to last night, a town hall meeting. Mm-hmm. It's not the first one you've had since becoming mayor of Marshfield, and tell me how that went.
It actually went pretty well. There was probably 15 to 20 citizens there, and then there was a lot of staff and department heads there, and gave an update on what has taken place here in the city over the last year since I was elected. And it's the second one I've had. I had one, I believe, back in August, July or August. And just more of a way that we can get outreach to the public. You know, we're available to, and we want to hear what the public has to say. As I went over last night, is we want to do some different things here in Marshfield, but we want to do what the public wants. Of course, the only way we're going to know is if they come and voice their opinion. So we had some good questions last night. A few of the aldermen were there. I was very happy about that. Ed Wagner, a former alderman, was there, and he had a couple of good questions regarding the roads. So overall, it went very well. It was very interesting to me that we just need to do such a better job of communicating to the city what is taking place. Of course, the one thing that came up was the taxes. The taxes are high. A gentleman got up and spoke, and he actually got up 3 times, and each time he had a really good comment. One of his comments was a very common misconception that our taxes here in Marshfield, they are high. But he actually says, you know, in other areas, they're not as high. For instance, in Wisconsin Rapids, they're not as high as here in Marshfield. And what was interesting is that I went on to say, you know, that is the perception, but the reality is something a little bit different, right? Our taxes here are $9.29 per thousand, and in Wisconsin Rapids, it's $12.30 per thousand. It's substantially higher tax rate. The property values, I think, are higher here in Marshfield, and so there you go. But that's a very common misconception. The other thing we went over is the housing study. You know, people, we're full here in Marshfield. People love Marshfield. But we're running out of houses right now. If you look on the real estate market, there's not a lot available. And, of course, that does create a problem. Where do these people go? And the other thing about Marshfield is a lot of people come to work here because our business environment here is very good. I believe the statistics is 15,000 people come into Marshfield on a daily basis. So that's all wear and tear on the roads. It wears them out. And the people here, you know, got to keep those up. So overall, it was very good. I was very happy with the comments. And I've heard about it already this morning. I've had 3 people come up to me that said that they weren't there, but they watched it on our channel 991 because we're back to having everything live, which I think is very helpful. So I think the word got out, and I was very happy that people were watching live.
Talking with Mayor Bob McManus, you can too, 384-2191, 384-2191 here on the Insight program. You got the phones on. Let's go to the phone here. Joanne, go ahead. You're on with the mayor.
Yes, this has nothing to do with the housing or anything like that. The last time I called, it was about this dentistry. And I did call a senator, this Kathleen Brenner that represents Marshfield, and she had contacted me, and it was later after your program, and I was wishing it had to be earlier so that I could tell you. All of the programs so far that they have, and even the one that's on the state floor, that the new one is, they all go according to your income. And when I was talking to this lady at the Family Medical Center, she says, well, I spoke to you in November, and I said, yeah. And I just figured, well, since there's a new program, you know, that other people get on it. And it was a good thing because I had my taxes all figured out. And I figured, well, if I present this, you'd have a better idea of it. and I still can't get in because I still make too much money. It goes everything, every plan that they had so far, and this one here still does. It goes according to your income. And I just want to, because I'm over 65, they don't have anything, you know, for like fillings or the regular stuff. And I says, what Medicare does pay on a certain amount, but then after that, say for instance you fell and you chip your tooth or something, I says that can go into big time money, and they don't have any programs for that. This is, you know, when you're working, you probably have the regular stuff, but after you retire once, you don't get it. And everything still goes according to your income. For like caps or bridges or, you know, things like that, it still goes according to your income. So thank you for your time, and thank you for directing me the right way.
Thank you.
And I figured I'd call you now because you are going to be swamped with calls after this. You were the last time. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in, Joanne. You know, she brings up a very good point. The dentistry, you know, for senior citizens becomes unaffordable, and then if they make too much money, then there's nothing there for them. And when you know, bridges and dentures and things like that, implants, those get very costly, and there's no help for them. So I met her quite some time ago, and she's tried with the county and now the state, which I think is good, and hopefully they'll be able to come up with something down the road for the seniors in dental care. But right now, it's all income based.
Talking with Mayor Bob McManus. You can too, 384-2191 here on the Inside program this first Friday of the month, live on AM 1450 WDLB, coming to you in rewatch on Marshfield Community Television or at marshfieldtv.com. I presume that's still going to be available for those of you that do not have the tier of Spectrum Television that it is available on. I have to say, and this communication aspect of the city was brought to our attention before your term as mayor. So this has been something that's been considered and been in the works for a while here. We're coming off a town hall meeting that you had last night.
Sure. And
to get people to, you mentioned it, and I think Mike played it on the news, Mike Warren, that to get people to come out and make a special trip out of their easy chair is no small feat in this day and age when it can be done on a keyboard, and right. You don't have to worry about doing that. And what bothers me, and it's just me personally, is that I give you this forum every month to do that, and people don't take advantage of it, but yet they'll bother to come out and make a special trip to do that. Now, I don't have the city council members and aldermen and other people, department heads here, but they're also available at 384-2191 to answer any questions that you may have as far as citizens that they may be able to add input to, or you could call on them, you know, at any given time too. So I find it interesting that people will take their time out of the way when you've made it a point to come in here out of your day once a month to do this, and they'll take their time to even come out and do it on a special night because you've asked them to. And I don't know if people think that they're just, you know, people say on the radio, well, somebody might hear me or they know my voice or something. I'm like, well, you're not a subversive. Why are you afraid of, you're asking a question that probably somebody else might as well. Mm-hmm. And I guess maybe people don't want to be argumentative on the media. Like they'll call about taxes or something like that and they disagree with their assessments or whatever the case. But you can set a lot of people straight in one fell swoop here on TV and on radio at the same time. So you've also added something called Connections now, which is what?
Which is a tremendous thing that our new communication director, Tom Locke's, put together. And it shows it's either a message from either Steve or I, Steve Barg, the city administrator, upcoming meetings for that week, and then over on the left is all the contact information for the aldermen, which would include their email address and their phone number. So we're going to be getting it. It's at City Hall, and there's other places. We're very happy because we've actually had a couple of businesses call us and say, will you bring that over to our business for our customers? We're very excited about that. And we want to get that out as well to, places like Quick Trip and get it over to Cedar Rail and Parkview so that people can really see that we're doing everything we can to reach out. We want to make Marshfield as good as we possibly can. We want the environment to be right for business and everything else. This morning, I was at the grand reopening of the Baltus down there. We were down there at 8:30, which was tremendous. And as John was going on, I was very happy with the fact that he said he really appreciates the business climate in Marshfield. He appreciates the support that he's had from the mayor, myself, and the past mayor. He actually brought out Marilyn Hardacre when they opened up that store in, I believe it was 1986. She was there, and they had a picture of that, which was good. He appreciated the Common Council and everything that all the dealings that he's had with them. I really appreciated that acknowledgement from somebody, a well-respected business leader here in Marshfield, that is his perception. That's been his reality. So I was very, very happy with that.
Well, along that line, talking about business climate, with the closing of another store, when OfficeMax announced their closing, you were quoted as saying, we're doing well in the city.
Sure.
And my quote on the social media post was, when you're in the foxhole and you're watching your soldiers go down around you, it's hard to believe the general says winning the war. We're winning. But in reality, the facts bear you out, and that is that the numbers here, we're doing okay with what we're doing. Individual businesses or chains or franchises closing the way they are is not unique to Marshfield.
No.
It's in their business model, not ours, where the problem often lies. The individual stores have been doing well, including some of them that were here in Marshfield that are now closed. They were individually were doing well, but the corporate says we're not doing well up here, so down we go,
Yeah, you have to look at, you have to look at everything taking place in Marshfield. And of course, losing Figgies. Whenever you lose a business, let's keep the business climate over here for a minute and the reality of the situation with record low unemployment. Jobs, I just heard Target is raising their minimum wage from $12 to $13 an hour. There's jobs here, starting jobs here in Marshfield at $18 or $19 an hour. And these businesses, what I've heard from several businesses is they can't find employees. And so that, of course, becomes an issue. So that's the climate that I'm talking about, is everybody is here that wants to work, absolutely can find a job. Now, the reality for the Figgies or Shopko is when those businesses go out, those people that work in there, although they can find another job, it's still sad to leave. Many times they've been there 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and this has become their norm. It's become their life. That is always sad to lose. But at the end of the day, the consumer makes the decision on what businesses stay and what businesses go. Well, let's see this. The consumer makes a partial decision. The other thing is you never know what upper management is doing and if they're watching their books correctly and if they're making good decisions, or are they going to stockholders? If you went over to a Shopko, you saw a going out of business sign right next to part-time employment. I mean, if that is not, that's just an odd scenario. The other thing is, across the street at Office Depot, I don't think that was a surprise to anybody. I mean, you could go over there and you could see, you could always get in the first or second spot. There was not a lot of people in there. The problem is, I think, for the OfficeMax is, the issue was they were competing with their online themselves. And so Scott Larson, actually, we went over this last night in the town hall. We had a great discussion about it. Scott Larson said, this is the first time in history there is more product now being purchased online than in brick and mortar stores. And that is an amazing, amazing thing.
There it is. We've reached the tipping point.
You better believe it. So our service industries, of course, are going to be an issue. But let's just look at the business model. If you go over to, and you mark my words, this is going to happen in the next 5 years. I'll guarantee it. If you go over to Walmart, they've got 20 lanes where you can have that human contact with somebody to check yourself out. And those lines get long. If you've noticed, they don't bring on more checkers when those lines get long, even though only maybe a third of those checkout stands are being used. Why is that? Because they're self-serve stand. A lot of people don't want to go there because of the technology. But people finally make the decision, do I wait in this line for 10 minutes or do I go over there and I check out myself? What those types of retailers know, at McDonald's is the same thing. This is what those types of retailers know. When somebody goes over and does their own checkout and they can get in, they can get out, and they do it once, they're hooked. So then what will happen is they're going to start going more and more to checkout. Now Walmart doesn't need as many employees. So what you're going to see happening is more kiosks and less of those people actually being out there. That is the business model that we're going to see take place over the next 5 to 10 years. And it's going to hit a lot of different types of retailers.
There are a number of people who think that $15 an hour living wage is what's causing that. You can't pay people a living wage and still stay in business. And I'm thinking, well, that's because you're giving it all to the stockholders. I mean, you have to have infrastructure or you have to have profit motive, So I think a lot of businesses in this country, that's where it's gone wrong or south or whatever. And their way of thinking is that I've said many times, when CEOs began to get paid in stock options, their focus became on making more money for themselves, as any of us would.
Sure.
I can give myself a pay raise if my stock is worth more money.
Right.
So all the profits get poured into Wall Street and not on what's happening inside the stores, which is short-sighted.
Very.
But, and people are mad about the self-checkouts. They say, well, I'd rather have people and give them a job than I would, put people out of work and self-checkout, force Walmart to do that. And I said, you're going upstream here. I mean, it's not just about the convenience of that, or it's just about the pay of that. It's about that humans have always been the highest cost for any business.
Correct.
The computer doesn't need FICA. The computer doesn't need vacation. The computer doesn't have a sick kid at home. The computer doesn't, as long as you can get humans out of there, so everything runs smooth. Well, you can't. Humans are the customer.
Right.
You're not going to get them out, and they want that to a certain extent. But as far as Marshfield is concerned, we're no different than any other place. This isn't something that's happening to us. But as a council, as a city, as an entity, you've got to watch your P's and Q's here on what's happening and how this is going to affect between the Chamber, Convention Visitors Bureau, and all the rest of us as to how this is going to affect us. Because people that listen to AM radio or watch MCTV generally don't do a lot of computer business. It's a lot, brick and mortar stores going out is not something that's a Marshfield problem.
Right.
But it is a problem for Marshfieldians.
Yes. Yeah, this is not, it's interesting. I did see some of the similar comments to yours. I even actually saw your comment about the general situation. I thought it was interesting. It is the way the world is going. The world is, this is the only thing that we can count on, is that there is constant change. You're either keeping up with it or you're behind. You're never staying static. And that is, I think, what we need to really be aware of. And we need to find businesses. And when I say find businesses, let me make that clear, because Scott Larson at the Marshfield Chamber of Commerce and Industry, before I was elected in, I sat down with him. And one thing that he and I both agreed on is we want more businesses to come to Marshfield. But realistically, the number one priority, the number one goal is to keep the current businesses that are here, keep them functioning, give them the tools that will help them expand. John Baltus, with that expansion, a part of it was the fact of couldn't find people to work and to stay working in that industry. Well, and there are people that are upset about it. Just a couple of comments that because they're not going to have that, they're not going to have somebody there that would do the vacuuming and whatnot. But he looked way ahead of this. In that car wash, it's a constantly going conveyor belt. So you're not going to have to go there and wait 15 minutes to get in and get your 5-minute wash. Now you're there 20 to 25 minutes. Cars are going to be able to go and get in and out and be cleaned in 3.5 minutes. But here's the thing. But it's different. It's different than it was. And so that is the way of business. And if you're not keeping up with that, you will go out of business. when online sales of goods and product is more than what's in the brick and mortar, the public is making the decision. I would rather purchase this from some online entity, whatever, Amazon, let's say, than purchase it locally. Now, why would they want to do that? Maybe it's cheaper. Maybe a local retailer didn't have a certain type of product that they wanted. We don't know. 20 years ago, there was very little, unless you went to Sears or JCPenney's, you could order that out of their catalog, and they could have it then delivered to that store. Now it's completely different. You can order something on Amazon today if you're their Prime Time or Prime something, and you can have that tomorrow. It's just incredible. If you order a phone from Sprint, and you take care of it on a Saturday, they'll deliver it on Sunday to your door. You're getting a delivery on Sunday? It's amazing, but they realize that when people want something, they want it now. They don't want to wait. And so there you have it. Now, what the city cannot do anything to tell people, because we always say buy local. We want to buy local as much as we possibly can. But there's some times where people just, you look at the UPS trucks and the FedEx trucks, they're packed. You can go up and down streets and you could see packages out in front of people's homes. People should have the right to buy what they want from where they want. Now, because of this, I've called this and a few other things. I've called a meeting with, because I believe that the leadership of Marshfield, as I've been in a year now as mayor, and I'm really starting to get my bearing on who's doing what and what this organization does. And what I've seen is there's not a lot of intercommunication between different entities. So I've called a meeting with the Common Council, the EDB, Marshfield Utilities, Mackey, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, downtown Marshfield, to get all the entities at Marshfield Utilities, to get all the entities together in one room. Let's crystallize our vision, how we can help each other, and what we're going to do about these businesses going out. How can we attract and keep the right businesses here and make sure that anybody that wants a job will always have a job? Our unemployment is historically low. You can go out and get a job. You go up and down Main Street or Central. There's everywhere there's job openings. So this is why when people go, this one business is closing, I don't understand the perception of, what about the other 300 that are doing great? We're talking about the one. And in both situations of the recent ones with Shopko and Office Max, that was from their upper echelon. They were, making sales, and they were doing well. Nobody can control, as you stated, what upper management is doing to get money to their stockholders and everything else. Sadly, the victims are the employees of those places. It's just the way it is.
Well, for older people like myself, the charge for the government, or not necessarily, I shouldn't say the government, but the chamber, or I can't buy clothes and things now or try anything on because all the stores that did that are gone. I don't want to have to order three pairs online to see which one fits. I mean, I used to be able to go into the fitting room at Penny's or Yonkers, right, and I would take three of the same size, and they all fit different.
Right.
How am I supposed to know that online, or shoes, or any of that stuff? There's some things that don't, in our elderly, play well online. How does it look on me? How does it hang on me? How do I look in the mirror with that?
So, this is really going to blow you away, because I heard it last night from Scott Larson. It really did blow me away. I could not believe it. For these online retailers, they're coming up with an app now that you actually take a photo of yourself, a selfie, or somebody takes a photo of you with your current sizes, and you take that and you download it to this app if you're going to buy clothes at a certain retailer. And you've got your photo there, you punch in the sizes, and those clothes come up on your body there so you can see how it looks. I mean, if that's not futuristic Jetson type stuff, I don't know what is. Now, for our older community, they're not going to want to do that. And you could see, many of the older people don't want to buy online. And so for them, things are shrinking. It's like, I can't, I've got to go to these different places. Wausau had a string of closings of the big major retailers, and Wausau's still doing great.
Well, they've still got a situation with their mall like we've got here.
Absolutely.
The only problem is the government, the city owns it.
Right.
Well, the property. Now,
Right.
they've got a little more skin in the game than we do here. This is a private business, and
Right.
what they do with that is, for the most part, up to them. Although it affects the rest of us, and we'd like to have a say in that, but they vote with their dollars and they vote with their feet. You
Right.
know how that happens.
Well, and what's very interesting is we're going to have that meeting that I told you about before, and I've also asked Scott Larson to set up a meeting with many of our business owners and business leaders in the area so that they can come together with the city. Steve Barg and I, probably Josh Miller, would meet with them to go over what it is that they want and discuss these issues so we're all on the same page and then our businesses are being heard. I think that's very important. I don't know if we've ever had anything like that. I've also asked the downtown Marshfield folks we're going to have a meeting specifically with them on what we can do to help to do our part. The thing is, the city can't get over involved in how this person runs a business, but we can be that tool. And I believe that things are going to get much, much better. However, it is an upward climate, and so I would still ask, and I hear this all the time. People go out of town to go to a restaurant or something like that. Well, how are our restaurants supposed to thrive and keep good employees and attract and retain good help if they're sitting there with empty chairs?
Well, I'm sure this isn't the first time you heard this. It's been a generational thing here that people go out of town on the weekends.
Yes.
And as long as they do that, it's going to be a tough road for people that are in town here. I mean, you can go to Wausau, but you can't shop Penny's in Wausau. They're out of business. You can't shop Sears in Wausau because they're out of business. They have the same problems we do, but they have Gordman's and Old Navy and places. And to think that they would come here, that's not their business model. Just like Office Max, there wasn't enough people going in and out the door to make them open up another retail outlet here. The only one that flew in the face of that is Kohl's. Everybody's still scratching their head going, Kohl's stores are shutting down all over, and they built one here. Not just took one over, they built one. And everybody's going, really? Well, that's about the last Indian standing here right now, because as far as retail is concerned, now I'm painting with a broad brush. There are downtown businesses. There is places to get shoes and clothes around town besides that. But I mean, as far as the big box retailers, you've got Target and you've got the Kohl's store,
sure,
for the most part, where people are familiar with the brands.
Right.
So, but there's not a lot, you can give. We talked about TIFs and TIDs and talked about the motel, and everybody has their head spin around going, how come we're giving the store away here to get people in? Because the stores are leaving if you don't, to try to incentivize this. If the numbers of door swings aren't there for people coming and going, what other thing can you offer them for a quality of life in Marshfield for your citizens, besides opportunities to back off the taxes a little?
Well, and the thing is, in regards to taxes, everything is going up. The price of gas is going up. We talked about that last night. We'll probably talk about that here in a little bit. The new gas tax that's been proposed. But the other thing is, we really have to stop. It's easy to go on the negative side, and it really is. But if we look in this great city, we have an award-winning medical facility that is a lot of jobs for Marshfield. We have an incredible school system here in both Columbus as well as Marshfield Senior High and all the elementary schools. These are award-winning schools. I mean, we're really doing well, certainly from education. The University of Stevens Point, Marshfield, right here in Marshfield, they're adding 4-year degrees to that area. Now, for people really looking at that economically, that's such a huge win for the citizens of Marshfield. You can go out and you could pay, $20,000, $30,000, or you can come here to Marshfield and it's going to be half that. And you're going to get a great education. The other thing, we're going to be building our new aquatic center, and I think that will help. But the bear exhibit, you can go to the zoo. We've got the pond there. You can drive all around. And I think now with that new aquatic center that's really going to be nice, there's going to be a lot of things. Hopefully that will keep some people here on the weekend. If they could take their kids to, and not every weekend, but they could take their kids to the aquatic center and then go enjoy a picnic right across the street, at Wildwood. And then maybe take a little walk through the zoo. There's really a lot to do here. So if we can get people, instead of going out, 4 weekends a month, maybe just go out 3 and spend a little time here in Marshfield. I really think it really could be good.
Well, you started the program here before we go to break talking about the influx and outflux on a daily basis. 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. hours, it depends upon which way you're going, as whether you're the salmon going upstream or outstream. So all those people need to stay here.
Yes.
They're already here. We need to give them a reason to stay here during the day, from Loyal to Greenwood to Abbey Colby to Spencer to Stratford to Alberndale, Pittsville, all around. They're coming in here during the day. We need to give them a reason to stay. And if we can't buy retail, we can't give them enough that they would want to do business here, then we make it enough on the recreation side, is what I'm hearing, is that we try to get people to come here from those communities to go to the aquatic center, to go to the zoo, we don't have a lake. We're not on water, so what's our attraction here? We've gone with sports. We've built this Miller complex. We've got softball at the fairgrounds. You try to get people to come here for reasons other than the normal recreation.
Sure.
So, it's a tough road to hoe here. Talking with Mayor Bob McManus on the first Friday of the month here live on AM 1450 WDLB on Rewatch with Marshfield Community Television. And we'll take a break and be back with more for you here in a moment. AM 1450 WDLB's Insight program coming to you on Marshfield Community Television and Rewatch here in the future. I always remind you of that because some of the things you see or hear us talk about on this program may have already turned out or resolved themselves by the time you get to see this in the archives of video that's on their YouTube channel. So I have to be cognizant of that, I guess, as you already know how what we're talking about turns out here for the most part. Kind of like dating a psychic.
Right. There you go.
And 384-2191 is our number here, 384-2191. This is our monthly town hall, live on the radio with Mayor Bob McManus. And coming off of his meeting, I would imagine you're going to be doing more of those at some point in time. What's your goal, twice a year? Or?
Yeah, probably twice a year. And I really want to get more of the public there. And I was very pleased actually this morning to hear from a few different people that they watched it. So that is good, and it's great to watch it. But the thing is, we in the city, we really need to hear what it is that you want and how you see things. I will tell you, it was very for me, I think I did about a 20-minute presentation, and when people could see that, we talked about roads, we talked about taxes, we talked about our communication department. I showed them that there was a video done that showed the new police and fire radios and everything else. When people have the whole story, they get it. They really get it, and that's why I think it's important to be involved. We were talking a little bit earlier about the different things to do in Marshfield, and we've got this brand new sports facility going on at the high school, and in the summer over at Hackman Field, there's all kinds of games going on there all day long on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, even through the week. With this new athletic facility, I believe that's going to bring more. The Y just expanded, and that is going to bring more. They're going to have more tournaments and things like that there. All these things are going to draw more people to Marshfield. And so, for instance, if a family is coming in to watch their son play Little League, and they have a game at 9 and another one at 4, we've got to do a great job of communicating at that 9 o'clock game to let those people know, hey, take your kids over to the aquatic center and go for a nice picnic over at Wildwood and keep them here. It'll help everybody. It'll help our retailers, and it'll help those people that come to this beautiful city get around and see it and enjoy what we have here. I just think that we need to have more messaging among the general public that Marshfield is a really nice place.
Talking with Mayor Bob McManus, you can too, 384-2191. Dave, go ahead. You're on with the mayor.
Good morning, Jeff, and good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning.
I just had a couple of questions, and maybe this is out there and everybody else knows the answer to this already, but I missed it, so I thought I'd call up and ask. Did the sale go through on Monday of the old City Hall Plaza? And also, do we know yet what the new owner intends for that building?
Yes, the sale did go through. Now we're going through it. It needs to close, I believe, May 1st. But the price was $900,000. It is a builder, I believe, that purchased the property, and the intent right now is to just keep it the way it is. Obviously, the attraction of the building was a fair amount of $350,000 a year in rents collected. So that income is very, very good. We had the property listed a little bit higher, but there's, a fair amount of deferred maintenance in. So I believe we got a good price for it. The open market speaks. The true determination of value is what a willing seller will sell to a willing buyer. That's what determines value. So it's going to get back on the tax rolls. That's good. And Stroman Park, which is right next to it, is not going with the property. That's staying city property. Stroman Park is part of Marshfield's great history. And so we're looking forward to that closing in May.
Okay, I had thought that the closing was Monday, April 1, so you corrected me there. I appreciate it. And it is so therefore it is going to be all office and commercial space then?
That is my understanding as of now, but the new owner can do basically whatever they want, but they get a pretty fair amount of rent from the antennas up on the tower, and then the rents that are there. They're not looking to move out anybody or anything like that. So it will be primarily office space.
All right. Well, you're providing a lot of good information to the public, and we thank you for coming on the show and doing that. And you gentlemen have a great day.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. 384-2191 is our number here. 384-2191. There had been some talk. I've got another call coming in, and I'll hold off here on my thoughts on the City Hall in just a moment. First of all, Gary, good morning. You're on with the mayor.
Yes. Hello, Jeff. Hello, Mayor. Hey, good show so far. Great. Very informative. Everybody should get a copy. Sounds like a great idea. But anyway, see, what about archery? I walked into the mall the other day on a Saturday morning, and what would you normally expect? Well, not much, would you? But I walk in there, there's a regular buzz of activity. Kids running around. Old Penny's was lit up like never before. Hundreds of people in there. And it was an archery event. Didn't know anything about it. I talked to some guys from way out of town. Man, that must have really been a great event. And hey, archery's a great sport. And it's up and coming, and especially for youngsters. Hey, the hub of archery, the new hub of archery. And we're so close to Spencer, they have a specialty manufacturer right there shipping worldwide archery equipment. I'm not connected with any of this. I just used to enjoy archery. And now, well, I don't know anything about crossbows. That's a whole different deal. But, archery and youngsters and Marshfield, it's a good mix.
Thank you for calling in. It's a great idea. Archery, it is. You're exactly right. The sport is really coming back. I know it was a big kids event that took place there, and there was a lot of enthusiasm around it. But we sure appreciate your positive input.
It's that what we were talking about. You have to become creative here in how to get people to stay here, and it's not always some people, keeping the citizens here is one thing. If you can't do that, you got to get other citizens to come here.
Right.
You know, if you're not, for whatever reason, if people feel they have to shop in the mall in Appleton or in Chicago or in Minneapolis and Mall of America, they've got something there we can't provide. Never will. Okay, people go to the Dells. I get that, but to bring people here in order to have commerce, that lowers our taxes because people are buying and shopping here and keeping our places up. As much as Walmart was feared to knock out the downtown, we came up with Main Street Marshfield and have a group that are actually trying to keep businesses in there. Now, not every business is thriving and every storefront is full. I mean, we're in America. But there are new facades, there's new places. Some people come here and go, well, geez, you've been able to save the downtown. We weren't. And so it's not a small thing. We see it all day, every day. We live, it's like looking in the mirror. You don't realize how old you got until somebody else says, geez, you look terrible.
Right.
You see them after you've seen them for 5-8 years, and you go, wow, he got old, and I see myself every day. I'm thinking I look like I did when I was 20, but not so much.
Right. No, it's very interesting because the Main Street has really done a great job, and it is tough for those businesses, and there's those businesses have to really be unique to get people in their establishments. And so that's why I really want to have that meeting with them to get their input on what they need. I do believe that as we see more and more like this archery event, and when we get to the summer, when we've got the baseball games and the aquatic center, once that is on, I was very happy with that. Interesting side note on that, at the last Common Council meeting, they were there to, the fundraiser said that we would be able to get, a certain amount, and the fee to do that is $80,000 to begin that. And so I just let the council know, if you're going to vote to approve this, which I really hope that they would, because I believe we need the pool. Here's the problem, Jeff. We've been talking about getting a pool, updating a pool, since 1998. It's now 2019. Too much of what has happened in past governments here is there's too much of a push-off. There was a push-off of the maintenance of the city hall, and that cost us dearly for not taking care of the issue then. There was a push-off on wages. There was just it was push-off on so many different things. We can't do that. But when we have that pool, they're calling it aquatic center, so we got to do that. I let the Common Council know, if we're going to approve this $80,000 for the people to go out and get the $3 million, then hopefully you understand that in doing that when this comes up in our next budget, that we're going to take out a loan for $3 million, that has got to be approved. Otherwise, that would be a silly waste of $80,000 to say, yeah, go ahead and do it. And then, okay, the public gave you the $3 million. Now we got to go take a loan. Well, no, we really shouldn't do that. That's not the way that it should work. This really should have been the green light, and I think it will.
Well, two things. One, I've always said, when you hire a consultant, you're not going to not take their advice.
Right.
Because you would have wasted the money of hiring a consultant. If you're not going to do what they tell you, then don't hire a consultant, because you're not going to do it anyway.
Right.
Because I didn't like their answer. So that's not going to happen. But on the other hand, people, when they hear, we're going to build, we're going to borrow, right away taxes. They're worried about their tax money going for that. How can we afford to buy and build? I can't afford to buy and build.
Right.
So how can you afford to buy and build? But they don't understand there's two different entities and how this all happens. When you hold town hall meetings, as you said before, and show people the pictures and say, it's not just words now. Here's what's happening, and lay the whole thing out in front of them. What would you do? And they wind up most of the time doing what you did.
Absolutely.
If they do the same thing.
Absolutely.
All right, Ken, good morning. You are on with the mayor.
Say, I just have a comment with stores closing, and many of them are open 7 days a week with long hours, and then booking stationaries open 5 days a week, 8 to 5 or 8 to 4:30, closed Saturday and Sunday. And this day and age, it's in retail, you just wouldn't think that happens, but hats off to booking stationery, I guess. That's all I had to say.
All right.
Thank you for my call. Thank you.
Yes, that was a name I was going to mention as an alternative to Office Max. Now, they offered some things over there, including, immediate laminating and things like that maybe they will want to pick up.
Sure.
But they're also going to have to be a little more accessible. If they're going to take this over, now would be the time. Sometimes when someone goes out is a time to strike the iron and take up that business.
Absolutely, and that's absolutely. Certainly you saw that, and when, I will tell you, when Figgies, that really hit everybody hard. But business owners were very excited because now they were going to have people to hire. So it's very interesting, and I think that the caller made a great comment. Other businesses, including our downtown businesses, might have to, reallocate the amount of hours that they have. Many of them close at, 6 or 7. Might have to stay open a little bit longer. And, of course, then their point of view is, well, then that's more staffing, and if people don't come here. So this is where I think when we have the meeting with them, I think it's going to be really quite beneficial.
Well, and that's the same thing. We're talking about Office Max specifically, and not enough door swings, not enough people coming in. How can you be open? The radio station plays 24/7, whether there's anybody listening or not. I've got to make up here at the radio station our profits for that nighttime electricity during what happens at the daytime.
Sure.
It looks like you're making all kinds of money when you got business, but you don't realize what about the time when there's nobody sitting in their business.
Right.
So, it's a bigger issue than what is immediately seen. Mm-hmm. Good morning, Patrick. You're on with the mayor.
Hey there, Jeff and Bob. How's it going?
Good, Patrick. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. I hate to bring this up. There's booking stationery, but there's another company over in out of town in Owen, Wisconsin. You call them up if you need something like from Office Max or something like that there. And usually they got it in stock and they deliver it too.
Another small town business rather than a franchise. Right. And I have nothing against franchisees, don't get me wrong.
No.
But
yeah, a lot of it has to do with management too. If you got a good manager, fine. If you don't, well, you aren't going to go nowhere.
And that's why there's so many jobs open. It's hard to find people who can hit the ground running.
Right. It's very, very true.
All right. Thank you for the call.
Thank you, Pat.
Okay.
It's interesting. I know we're getting low on time. I did want to go over the I met with Steve Barganai, the city administrator, met with Senator Petrosky, Representative Spiros, and Representative Culp when they had the new governor's budget come out, and went over some different things. And changing administrations, there's going to be some different things there. And one of the things that came out was that there was going to be an 8 cent a gallon tax hike. So when people go to get fill up their car with gas, there's going to be 8 more cents. I believe already the state gets 31 or 32 cents per gallon. So now the proposed at that time, we started discussing it, and I asked them very clearly, well, what is that going to do? Because if you're going to raise a gas tax, that's going to be roads. Or is that money going to come right back to us in the roads? Because, if we're going to tax something, let's get something out of it. If we do have to do anything with taxes when we get the pool, people are going to be able to see, well, here's the pool. And, they said, well, basically that's to take care of back debt of roads that we did. And it's like, that's crazy. You're already getting 31 cents a gallon. I says, let me propose this. But this is going to take the citizen involvement, not just me, or I went over this with the Wisconsin Rapids mayor and Doug Mahan, the Wood County chair of the supervisors. And they thought it was a great idea. If you collect 8 cents, send 20% of what you collect back to the municipalities so we can put that into our roads, fix our potholes. If we're going to tax it, let's just see. And I asked for 20%. Didn't really think that we were going to get very far. Now all the representatives and senators went back and talked, and now I understand that the proposed tax hike is going to, or gas tax hike is going to be 10 cents a gallon, and they're looking to send 10% back to municipalities for potholes. I was very, very happy with that if it actually comes. And then we're going to see, well, so how much you're going to collect, then is it going to go to say Wood County or Marathon County, and then they disperse it. We have a lot of gas stations here, and a lot of people come into Marshfield, as we've said earlier, 15,000 a day. They'll get their gas here and then they go out. If we can get part of that money back, that they're buying something here in Marshfield that is Marshfield originated. If we can get something back to where we can allocate a certain amount just to fill those potholes and get the roads, help that, I think it's going to be great. We have the road situation starting May 1st.
That was my next question. Yeah. That's the big one everybody's asking. Well, it's right already April 5th. When are we going to start?
May 1st. It's already inked in, subject to snow. And it'll start May 1st for between Arnold and Harrison. That's going to be taking place. It's probably a $2.5 million project. And then you've got our normal city. People were very happy last night when we were going through the roads website that we have. It was amazing the response that people had to it, which is why, again, we need to do a better job of communicating what we have available. But if you look at it, it's probably going to be about 4.5, maybe 4.75 million this year. Last year was about 4.5 million between state and what we did local. That is a lot of road work taking place. But we still need more to fix it. This is you'd be surprised. $1 million does not go a long way when you're talking about a road.
Pretty soon you're talking real money.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Quickly here, we only have a few seconds. What did you mean, road website? Is there a place people can go to see what construction is on the docket?
If you go right to the city of Marshfield, and it's got future street improvements, and you can actually go, you can see what street improvements we're going to do this year. You could see them right there. You could pull up each one. There's information on when it's going to start and how much it's going to cost. So people can see when their street is on tap. And it goes out 3 years, 19, 20, and 21, so people can see exactly what's going to take place. People last night loved it.
All right. Well, hopefully they'll love your appearance here once a month on the Inside program.